Merry Christmas, Gabriel Blake.
Merry Christmas, Gaybros.
We're spending this pretty weird and bizarre Christmas.
It's Christmas morning, and we're alone together.
Yeah, what else could I ask besides like spending Christmas morning with my gay bro Blake remotely? I don't know, like
Yep.
being back home with my family, but you are like the second option. You will be my second option.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay.
You must
But
have been a
yeah,
very good boy this year if this was your Christmas morning.
God, now you're making it at work. But yeah, we decided to we discussed a couple of weeks ago that most of our episodes can be consumed at at any time, whatever you want. It's like basically we changed our narrative from we're going to dive bars and now we're staying home. But it's like besides that, we only mention like from time to time what date it is. But there is no more importance, and this is the only time that we are recording like an episode for being published exactly today. This is our Christmas surprise gift to our 5 listeners.
Big gay Christmas special.
Exactly. I don't know if it's going to be that big, to be completely fair, but let's see. let's go over it. But yeah, what did we watch for today on our Christmas Eve?
We watched the 1988 cult classic
Oh,
Scrooged, starring Bill Murray.
from the director of the classic Superman, no? From Richard
Yes.
Donner.
And Lethal Weapon 2.
Yep, yeah. And the funny thing is, like, when I was watching, I was seeing that this is basically when we're talking about another movie that I watched recently that I'm not going to be like, giving the name, as this is going to be out of order with all the episodes. That is like when those movies that they have like an ensemble cast and you see like ton of the stars that they were popular during that time. Is that this is basically the same thing with the 80s, but with the B stars.
Oh, you take that back.
I mean, Karen Allen is like, I only think when I saw her, it's like, oh, it's the girl from Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. And when
She
Karen
was in
came,
other stuff.
okay, she was in other less popular stuff.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, this was like at the tail end of her 15 minutes of fame, I think.
Yeah, and the same thing with Carol Kane, that it was like, oh, she was in The Princess Bride. Oh, he's also in The Unbreakable Kimmy Smith now.
Which one is Carol King?
The second Ghost. The Ghost of the President.
Oh, I love her.
I love her too. She's funny, and I like that now she has like a voice, paying that she probably smoked like 3 packs of cigarettes a day. It's completely raspy. So
Wasn't she in Taxi Driver? She was. She was Locke's girlfriend. Taxi, not Taxi Driver.
oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, yeah, that was someone else. Jodie Foster. But yeah, it was interesting to see all these stars. It almost felt like a time capsule about like thinking about like Bill Murray was this popular in the 80s because it's built around him.
So, I don't know, historically, was it popular when it came out? Because whether we liked it or not, this has become a cult classic. It's one of, at least in America, it's one of the films people watch at this time of year. At least my family does most years.
Oh, good time.
I stopped 20 years ago when I had the choice. I was like, no, thank you.
And you say like, I'm going to watch A Christmas Tale.
I'm going to go watch the French family comedy drama.
Yeah, the French version of Scrooge is actually Catherine Deneuve in Christmas Tale. No, I had to say that in Spain, I think that it was like fairly popular because basically it's like the irreverent version of the Dickens story Scrooge. So is that they don't try to pretend. I mean, they're like pretty on the nose because even like in the story, they are recording a live action version of the Dickens story Scrooge. And it's like, oh, the same thing is happening to Bill Murray, and he's being
within a show.
Scrooge. Yeah.
So, whether you want to admit it or not, this was your pick.
Well, it was my pick, but let's just give some context. It's like 2 months ago, before like coronavirus cases got completely out of control, as expected. So basically, when San Francisco turned into a yellow zone, and we already knew that it was going to be turning purple in 2 days, and exactly what happened is like we discussed about renting a theater for watching a Christmas movie in advance. And the only one that we could agree on was actually Scrooge. From the perspective
To be fair, the selection was really bad.
Yeah, the selection was like bottom of the barrel Christmas movies. You know, they were not like the Hallmarks ones, but it was like basically Love Actually and Scrooge.
And Harold and Kumar's 3D Christmas.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, Love Actually was there. It was on the list too. So, and for me, as I'm not an American, so I don't love like British accents per se. It doesn't add a value to everything that I watch. I rather like just watch Scrooge again. And we discussed about it, but then your mother, she actually rented a theater on Christmas morning that we're supposed to be watching it right now, watching Scrooge. So maybe it was my pick. I'm not going to be like just saying, you know, it doesn't matter because it's a bonus episode, so it's not something that is going to have like repercussions in our next episode. But I think there was a bit more of a collective pick. Now, I had to say this as a fun fact. In Spain, we tend to translate movies with random names, only because of the topic instead of the translation of the title. It's okay, what happens on this movie? It's like, just forget what the title is. Just translate what is happening on the movie. So this movie
like,
is...
I'm so excited in English.
That's even more random. That's just because they sing that song, but whatever. But on that vein, this movie was actually called in Spanish "The Ghosts Attack the Boss."
Oh, jeez.
The funny thing is that it even sounds cool in English somehow. It rhymes at least.
Isn't there a subreddit that's like shitty movie descriptions?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. This
that sounds like that belongs to
that's The Ghosts Attack the Boss. But yeah, so for me, it was like the kind of movie that when I was little and it came out, because I remember it was like 8 years old when this came out. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a bit scary, but it's also a Christmas movie. And that's a topic that even like just watching it today, I felt like, who is the target audience of this?
I feel like it was like 20-year-olds, people that were 20 in 1988.
Okay, because when I was thinking, like usually Christmas movies are targeted to kids and families, no? There are not so many. Yeah, maybe A Christmas Tale is the only one that I would say that this is not for kids.
Because it is for French kids.
Maybe. They're more sophisticated, perhaps. But even Love Actually, I would say that a family can watch this. There is nothing like too, you know, like edgy or anything. In this one, we see some stuff that it makes me think of other movies that I wouldn't be mentioning. But as this was my pick, I picked it up because I explained, you know, because there was like on that selection, it was like the only one that I felt like this could be interesting to talk about. But as it was my pick, what was this movie about?
This movie is about Frank Cross, who is the president of IBC, fictional television network, and he's completely obsessed with ratings, and you might not be surprised to learn that he's not a big fan of Christmas. He has some family, a brother and a sister-in-law. They want to spend Christmas with him. He's like, no. He makes his poor secretary work on Christmas when she has like 5 kids. Not only that, she makes him miss her son's specialty appointment, doctor's appointment, because he's like 4 and hasn't ever spoken.
No. He used to spoke. I mean, the story is so tragic about her is that he used to spoke, but he witnessed how his father was murdered, and from that day he didn't talk.
That's right.
That is like, it almost feels like, okay, Dickens tried to make like just characters miserable. It's like how we can go like a step farther.
This is the Brooklyn version of Dickens.
Exactly. Sorry.
So, there's a side plot line that I don't know if it's significant or not, but the chairman of the board of IBC brings on basically a support for Frank Cross that's clearly a threat to him if he doesn't pull off the ratings that they need this Christmas season. So they're spending like $40 million to have this absurd live broadcast of A Christmas Tale, A Christmas Story. They're doing it from New York and Jerusalem?
Oh, well, because they were going to be connecting with not Jerusalem, I think, and then also like an African country. I don't know if I was Nigerian. That
They were
part I
going to
felt like,
bless the entire Zulu nation.
yeah, it was going to be the largest Baptist ever, and I feel like that's not okay. But sure, let's go with this.
So it's almost Christmas Day or Christmas. Yeah, it's Christmas Eve, and his old boss, who died on a golf course 7 years ago, it's his old mentor, but you kind of get the impression that Frank Cross kind of backstabbed him and took over the president position. He comes and warns him, you're kind of a son of a bitch, and 3 ghosts are going to visit you, and you'll be expected to change, and if you don't, you'll go to hell. Right?
Yeah.
So the 2 ghosts visit him. The ghost of Christmas Past, where he goes back and visits his extremely sad childhood. There's the ghost of Christmas Present, which is Carol King.
Well, actually, on the Christmas past, he goes to his childhood, but then he actually just jumps 20 years to the past, and you will start like just seeing how Karen Allen and Bill Murray, like get to know each other and how they have like some kind of relationship or what.
Yeah, so he sees his younger self, like 20, he's ambitious, he has a girlfriend he really loves. He lost her because he became obsessed with his job.
Yeah.
And he regrets that. And then the Ghost of Christmas Present, or Future, is the Ghost of Christmas Present, he sees the effect he has on all the people in his life, including his secretary. I love that actress. She's in Desperate Housewives. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the one that has the kid also. Yeah.
And he sees the effect he has on his brother, who just loves his older brother to death and just wants to spend time with him. And then the Ghost of Christmas Future, right? He sees this homeless man he met at a shelter when he went to try and win back his old girlfriend 15 years later. He visits him in a sewer where he froze to death.
But that's the present. He died. He truly died. Like, I mean, that's pretty dark. Yeah. But he truly died.
Yeah. You see Carol King and him as angels.
Exactly, but it's like they actually saw him. It's like you already killed someone with your inaction.
Then the Ghost of Christmas Future is basically the Grim Reaper, and he visits his own funeral. At first, he thinks it's his brother because you see the sister-in-law crying over a kid, but then his brother walks up and he realizes that he died.
Yeah, and
he has a giant change of heart in the middle of the live show. He stops everything and gives a big, passionate speech. And
I have a question about that passionate speech, because when I was watching it, I was feeling like, is he high? Because the speech is extremely incoherent.
So I also noticed that. I was like, none of this makes sense. He's just repeating the same, like, miracle tomorrow and miracle today, and you'll want that miracle. And like, it made no sense. What I'm guessing, I read that Bill Murray basically ripped the script apart and insisted on rewrites, and I'm sure he was like improving and super proud of himself at that moment, and he shouldn't have been. It was the worst part of the entire movie. I was like, wow, I'm really done now.
Yeah, I had to say when I got to that point, like, why is this still running? Because we said it is like 5 minutes of a speech.
Mm-hmm.
It's painful to watch. That part is painful to watch.
And right before we started recording, I actually looked up what years Bill Murray was on SNL, because this movie feels like a series of SNL sketches, and some I feel like are funny, some are complete failures. But I feel like Bill Murray was like, I don't need to practice. I'm an improv actor on SNL. I'm just going to go in and do my scenes.
Yeah, I don't think that works on cinema most of the time. So actually, I was going to be asking you, well, at the end, is like Karen Allen. That's the other part that felt a bit weird. It's okay, you guys broke up like 15 years ago. And it's like basically he calls you in the middle of the night, you show up the following day, he treats you like garbage. Basically, a couple of times, like after, like meeting up again. And then he's like, I changed my heart. And you're like, of course I'm back with you.
And in the flashbacks, he treats her like shit. Like, he's abusive. And she's just, she's supposed to be like the golden heart Bjork, where she just works in homeless shelters and she's perfect. And I was like, is this sort of like relationship okay in the 80s? Because this makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that there are like some things that they feel like pretty out of place. As I was telling you, is that this may if you had seen it during the 80s, from an ethical perspective, it may have been different. Let's just put it that way, you know, because the part about like the censorship, the censor woman, when she's like, you can see a nipple, it's true, you can see like partially the aureola of the nipple, and it makes me think at that point, it's like, is this for kids? Because it's like nowadays standards that could have never flown, you know.
And I was wondering, I don't think this movie would have been PG-13 today. I think this would have been R.
R? You think?
I
Why?
mean, besides Titanic, I've never seen a woman's areola in a PG-13 movie, and the language is super intense. And there's like pretty grotesque gore. I mean, it's not gore, but like when his boss that had died visits him, like a mouse pushes out a golf ball out of his skull.
And it goes
like,
back. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the MPAA would give.
Yeah, today. So the thing that it also like, that surprised me, there were a couple of moments that it made me feel about R-rated movies. The first one is at the beginning when they talk about the commercial that they're going to do, you know, with drugs, wars. And you know what it made me think of? It made me think of Sidney Lumet's Network. Like the prostitution of TV, you know?
Yeah,
like,
you mentioned it. A lot of the boardroom scenes did.
Yeah, and it's like the kind of first way. It's like this feels like a family-friendly version of Network. You know, how is the railing? So you're doing like a Dickens version, and you have like borderly naked dancers in the middle of it. What is going on here? And you're advertising, you know, like this with violence. Someone dies, and you are proud of it. About like this is free PR. It's a bit more of a someone watched Network.
And was like, we're going to make a Christmas version.
Exactly, of this. The other one that I was thinking about is when they're, Bill Murray is having lunch with his boss and the new guy from California, is that they basically, he starts having like some hallucinations, Bill Murray, and he sees like one of the bartender, like waiters, like just get on flame directly and just burning himself, like just walking like in flame. That made me think of The Shining.
Yeah,
like kind of hallucination. So it's a bit more of, okay, you guys are taking some clear inspirations in grimmer movies, in darker movies, but the end result of this one is the story of the kid, for example, the black kid. It feels like, oh, this is like the kind of thing that it will resonate with families and with, you know, kids. But then there is like a couple of times that they drop a bitch in the middle of the of a sentence. That is like, oh, you little bitch. It's like, wow, okay, I don't know if you can say this, you know, in a Christmas movie.
There are some very good quotes, I think. They're like one-liners. They're like, okay, that was a great joke, but not enough. There's a lot of space between the good jokes.
Yeah, so it just falls in a very uncanny place. You know, that is that this is not for all the family. This is not for adults or young adults. You know, it's still like trying to encompass like the how to say, like the Christmas miracle, we can turn into a better person kind of message. That is that's all family. But at the same time, you have like some stuff that is a bit not okay for the whole family.
So I grew up in a very strict Mormon household where we were not allowed to watch any rated R movies and many PG-13 movies. And this, for whatever reason, was an exception, but it was very scandalous, and we had to like look away when you could see the woman's nipples. And like, it's not for kids, and it's not for like people in their 40s. I don't know. Back then, people in their 20s had a lot more money. Maybe they were like, let's go after people in their 20s.
Well, I would say that probably this is something that I discussed with, I think that with you too. I had the feeling that the 80s, when it comes to evaluate what was okay and what was not, the 80s were way more violent. And you mentioned before we started recording this podcast that The Lost Boys, it was like a movie that it was for kids.
Yeah, and that was a very violent movie.
Yeah, so from that perspective, I think that people were okay with more violence. At that point, I think that as a society, we could differentiate more. Is that, okay, that's on the screen, so that's not real violence. And now we actually develop this kind of, I don't know, like subconscious feeling that if it's on the screen, it's trying to simulate what happens in real life, and you're making a spectacle out of it.
And also, like I feel like the level of realism has increased exponentially since then. So, like, you can differentiate. This is cartoon violence versus Cabin in the Woods. Not Cabin in the Woods. Cabin Fever or
like porn, gore porn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And this one, I don't think that it recreates itself in the violence. I mean, the only part of it like recreating in the violence is with the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Yeah.
That she's like just punching Bill Murray all the time, but it's like just doing it in a way that almost feels like the cartoons from the 30s and 40s. Like just
but I
like
think
there's
there's actual physical violence, and then there's like verbal violence, for instance. Like Frank Cross is extremely verbally violent, and like I just feel like that sort of tone that exists in this film doesn't really translate to cinema today.
Yeah, and when he actually gets better, when he has the change of heart, it feels like he's high. It's like, like when he goes into this speech that it never ends. He's like, okay, you changed your heart. You're not going to be like saying bitch anymore, I guess, to random people. But at the same time, is that you are not coherent whatsoever. So that actually made me wonder, and you already like gave me the answer about him being on SNL, but I was wondering, is that was he a really big deal during the 80s?
I believe so, yes. Also, I just Googled Bill Murray drugs. Apparently, he was arrested at Chicago O'Hare for trying to bring 10 pounds of weed onto the plane.
10 pounds? Pretty discreet.
The drugs were discovered after Murray joked to the passenger next to him that he had a bomb.
Oh, Bill Murray. That has to be my second favorite Bill Murray moment. I didn't know about this, but in my second one, my first one is when he didn't win the Oscar for Lost in Translation. And they had, well, I mean, that it was the Ellen edition, the one that she presented. And when they were saying like about like best actor, that they do like the thumbnail of everyone so you can see like their reactions. And everyone is like, when they say someone else, is they're going to be like just clapping right away about like, okay, I have to pretend it. And maybe I was just having hopes. And Bill Murray did this face of like really pissed for 1 second, but it was like extremely clear. And then they started just clapping as nothing happened. And Ellen actually realized about it, like caught on this. And she actually said, it's like, okay, don't worry, Bill. It's like maybe next year is yours.
Can we just forget all of this and remember him in Lost in Translation?
So you're telling me like let's forget everything else and just remember him as Sofia for Coppola movie, okay?
Yes, please. You like that movie, don't you?
I like that movie. And I like Bill Murray, but it's okay. The funny thing is like I like him now more that it almost feels like a parody of what he used to be. It's like he feels like he's embracing this kind of I don't know, self-deprecating image of a like old, fat, completely and not funny for just being funny and fun. I'm funny because of the kind of person that I portray.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
So to go back to your question, was he a big deal in the 80s? I mean, yes. He did Caddyshack, Stripes, Tootsie, Ghostbusters, Little Shop of Horrors, Ghostbusters 2, Scrooged. I mean, yeah, I think that he's what Kristen Wiig is now. It's like post SNL, still pretty well respected for her comedy, popping up in movies, becoming more well respected.
Yeah, I was trying to check who was Kristen Wiig. Yeah. Okay, the one from Bryce. I didn't know. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's like I'm not. You
don't watch SNL. I'm an SNL fan, so.
Yeah, that's the first thing. The second one is like I think that I'm not the target.
Oh, you're not a comedy guy either, and I'm not a big comedy film guy, but I do like comedy television.
Yeah. For me, that is not. So like I watched like some of these movies. I watched Ghostbusters on the new Ghostbusters that is also in it, to actually just reinforce the idea that she is like the Bill Murray of the 2020s, the 2010s.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And I remember I watched it with this group of friends that we used to watch like terrible cinema, and it was like probably one of the most forgettable movies that I watched in the last couple of years. But
I haven't seen the original Ghostbusters. I haven't seen the new Ghostbusters. But it's funny, in the New York Times, the original New York Times review of Scrooged, it says, this is about as bland as Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay. Maybe we should watch Ghostbusters because I think that it's also a Christmas movie. One of them, I don't know if it's one or two, it takes place during Christmas. So maybe that's our next year bonus surprise Ghostbusters movie.
Coming in 2021.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, overall, I felt weird about it. I felt entertained. But entertained in a very weird way.
I agree. I think this is an entertaining film. There are some pretty cringe moments, and to be honest, if I were to watch this again, I would turn it off before his final speech because, I got everything I needed to get out of this. It doesn't add anything. It makes me feel weird. But it's not like Cats.
Yeah, no, nothing is like Cats. Just leave it there. Let's just put it on aside.
So let me ask you this. A couple questions. One, do you watch any movies specifically around Christmas besides Love Actually?
No. No, I don't watch Love Actually first and for all. No, I think that I used to watch the Capra movie, It's a Wonderful Life? It's called?
Yep.
Yeah, the 46 movie. Because they used to play it on TV all the time, every single year. And I remember they was like, when I was little like this, I'm black and white. I'm not actually watching this. And then I watched it some years later, and I was like, okay, I get it. The funny thing is, it's so referenced, that movie is so referenced that even if you haven't watched it, you have watched it. Yeah, you have watched it, It's about Angel is earning his wings, the story about how he actually just make a turn. It's a more believable term that Bill Murray has in this movie. Let's just leave it there. And it's funny, I would like to actually just see how many movies has this format of you're going to be seeing your past Christmas, your present Christmas, and the future Christmas, and you're going to be realizing about your ways and changing your ways.
Okay, so you used to watch It's a Wonderful Life. You stopped. Are there any other ones you try to watch? Not every year, but maybe you would consider watching each year?
No, I had the feeling that I don't have ritual movies. Movies that I watch on a specific date.
So then would you consider watching Scrooged again next Christmas?
Yes. I could say yes. I could say yes because, as I told you in one of our episodes, I'm not going to be saying if it's a original or not one, is I like doing the exercise of, do you remember this movie and how do you remember it? I like to actually just check, checking into our perspective and just seeing how we have changed about something. The thing is, the product is still the same, but we are different people. So it's maybe a year from now we have watched 100 movies. If we actually keep on this pace, 100 more movies, and we actually look at this and we say actually this was a timeless classic. It's I get it now. Bill Murray is a genius.
So I guess that answers the question we usually ask at the end. You would watch this again?
That's true. I think that I will watch it again.
All right.
Would you?
Yeah, I'm never going to be like, Jose, come over and watch Scrooge this Christmas Eve. But if my family is sitting down to watch it, I'll probably watch it. It's not I don't think this is a great movie. I don't even think it's that good. It's good for a Christmas film.
Okay. And we don't include a Christmas Tale on that.
No, that's a French film. That's not a Christmas film.
Okay. It's not a movie. It's a French film.
And by the way, that is my only ritual movie, and I don't watch it every year, but I love A Christmas Tale. So,
are you going to watch it today?
I honestly would. If my husband's working right now, he's coming home later, and if he wants to go play with his new toys that he got for Christmas, I would sit down and watch it. Yeah, Christmas with Catherine Deneuve is a good Christmas.
No, that's true. That's a good movie, a good Christmas movie. I don't think that it's too uplifting.
It's not.
It's French uplifting. Let's just leave it there.
It's so funny because when I watched that movie, I know we did an episode on it. I saw it as like a dysfunctional family who was able to come together and celebrate Christmas, and there was healing and happiness. And then when I had my mom watch it, I was like, oh shit, this is so sad.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a family-friendly kind of movie for different reasons than Scrooge.
Yep.
But it's not like I would actually show it to my mother. Probably they would say, "Oh, it's Catherine Deneuve. We really like her." But then it's going to be a bit more of like turning like the smile upside down of like, "What are you trying to tell us?" So, would you recommend Scrooge?
Probably not. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't tell people not to watch it, but I would honestly recommend Love Actually before Scrooged. I know that makes you disappointed in me, but
it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I think that probably I would recommend Home Alone before Love Actually.
I need to watch Home Alone again. It's been too long.
I don't know if that's that's a real thing. If there is such a concept that's too long for not watching Home Alone, but let's just say that I had like a better memory of Home Alone. I feel like that's like pretty targeted to kids, and it works in that kind of way. Albeit there's like a lot of violence, as is another 80s movie.
So, do you think that Scrooged has any sort of merit as you mentioned, most Christmas films are kind of family friendly, like for children and adults. Do you think there's anything interesting in Scrooged in that it offers like edgy, well, like quote unquote edgy stuff, edgy humor for grown-ups?
I mean, the thing is like, I think that its humor doesn't cross the line into just being like black humor or, like satirical humor. It just falls into this kind of bland space that sometimes is okay, you're crossing the line, and sometimes you're like pretty almost white. It falls into a gray part that is like, I wish that it decided what it wants to be. That's the reason what I feel is like I don't know who will be watching this. It's like, for me, I can watch it, but it almost feels like, okay, if I am the target audience, probably I'm going to be like looking for something a bit more edgy. I want
but to. Can you think of another like not dark, but like adult humor Christmas comedy? The only one I can think of one, but I'll wait for you to think.
That's a good question because I was thinking about it. There has to be something.
There is a very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas, which I got for free as a screener, and I'll admit I thought it was pretty damn funny. But the other one I thought it was Bad Santa.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen it. I haven't, but I know the type of humor because I've seen a couple scenes, but because I can't think of that many in this genre, I think, it's at least there's something there for adults.
Yeah. I would say yes, but at the same time, it's like the values that it presents is some of the values that it presents is like family values.
That's true.
And that's like the part that is like, I just feel a bit weird. Is okay if I was looking for something a bit more like edgy and transgressor, and just having I want to see like in Bad Santa like someone completely drunk or whatever. Is like, sure, and this is a movie that is like you can still tell me about like, oh, like your family is important and your friends are important. They can be like some kind of moral value, but on this one it feels like his centerpiece. It's true about like the secretary represents like the family. About like, hey, I'm living with some of my sisters. I have like 5 kids. I don't have like a husband, but I'm like a single mother that is just raising a whole family. Then you have the brother that encapsulates like a bit more a traditional value of, okay, you're going to be like close to what is still your present family, that he wants to he craves that kind of connection with him. And then you have like the girlfriend that he left behind, like his own family, let's say, that he was like just building towards. So I feel like these are pretty conventional, on the 3 levels of values. It's about family, all of them. And I felt like this is not what I would expect if this was targeted to adults. And I would feel like a bit out of place. If I was like 20 years old in '88 and I would be like just taking my friends about like, hey, let's watch this. We went a couple of weeks ago to watch Terminator. Let's watch this now. And I just feel it's like we have all like just left with like, this is like a bland Christmas movie. They have like some jokes that they're okay, but it's a bland Christmas movie.
Which is what the 1988 New York Times said. And they republished their review 2 years ago with like a disclaimer at the top that basically said, we didn't like this movie, but it's a cult classic, so here you go.
But the review was negative already on its
Yeah,
originally.
negative, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, if I would recommend it, it's like, I honestly don't know. I would recommend Home Alone before this because I think that it's clearer to who is it targeted.
Okay, what if you were in Spain and one of your Spanish friends is like, hey, can you recommend me like a funny American Christmas movie? In that sort of novel context, would you ever?
I would feel like a bit lost. I would feel like a bit like Home Alone, probably. Honestly, but it's like I cannot think of a Scrooge. I think that is like a movie that's really ingrained in my brain. I think that it's like, okay, I watched it back then, I watch it now, I'm going to remember it. I remember like part of it. Well, probably not. I didn't remember most of it, actually. So I don't know if I would remember it a year from now. But if I would recommend it, probably, only from the perspective that I don't remember this movie, but I think that it took place in Christmas. And I think that it was a comedy because Bill Murray was on it. So maybe
if you like opened up our spreadsheet of movies we reviewed and you see 2 Christmas movies and you're like, yeah, watch this.
Yeah. Christmas Tale probably is not that Christmassy. You just go with something else. But that actually just takes us to the next question: is like, would you recommend this movie?
We just did that one. I don't know.
Sorry. Would you remember it? My bad.
Yeah, I can't separate this film like from the film itself and just growing up watching this almost every year. My family is obsessed with it. My sister has already watched it this year. I think my mom is planning on watching it today. So yes, I will remember this film.
Gotcha. Yeah, as I was saying, is like I didn't remember it too much, and I think that now in my brain is actually going to be like a bit of a flag about like there are some things that on the Me Too area are not okay of stuff that happens there, because for example, like when the censor woman gets really horny and start like just basically trying to rape.
Yeah, that was rape.
Yeah.
She like licked her lips and then like straddles a tied up guy and sticks her tongue. I was super offended by that on behalf of men.
I mean, of a straight man, let's just be honest.
Also, just so you believe me, I'm showing Jose my family likes to communicate in gifts, and they were communicating in Scrooged gifts yesterday.
That's cute. Do you think that there is anything artistic about it?
No, I think this is like pop culture 80s film, and that's it. Yep. I don't think there's anything that goes above and beyond. No.
Yep, definitely. I mean, I think there's like a bit more. This is as functional as it gets. The directing on this. There is nothing even like they cross the mind of the directors about like making this artistic.
And if you look at Richard Donner, whom I'm not familiar with by name, but certainly by his work, he filmed Scrooged in between Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah, maybe art, like cinema as art was not like a top priority for him.
So let's jump back one film earlier. It goes The Goonies, Lethal Weapon, Scrooged, Lethal Weapon 2.
Yep.
Good
and then Lethal Weapon 3.
5-year run for him.
Yep. And then Lethal Weapon 3. So, let me just check. So, is it a timeless piece?
I mean, it's timeless in that it's a Christmas. It's the Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol?
Yeah, Christmas Carol.
So like, yes, the overall themes are timeless. It's pretty firmly rooted in the 80s, but I don't think in the same way that The Lost Boys is. There's not like a ton of pop culture references. There's not like...
Don't they mention like a couple of actors and TV personalities?
They could, but I don't think it's so much so that it's distracting. It's just...
It flies over, yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to call it timeless, but there's nothing about the fact that it takes place in the 80s that's distracting for me.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. I feel a bit. It's clear when you're watching this movie, not only from the directing perspective and for the kind of tone that it has, even for how the narration happens, like the situations that they present, that this is clearly in the 80s. For me, it's like if they were to remake this movie now, it would be extremely different. So for me, it's like this a product of the 80s completely.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying, because like the topic itself is like a story that we have seen like many times before and after.
Yep, I agree. I don't recognize either of the writers. I wanted to see really quick if they wrote anything else that I really liked. Oh, one of them wrote Manhattan.
Okay. Oh, the music was composed by Danny Elfman. Okay.
I did actually notice the score because I have a great sound system, and I was like, this is in stereo. It's high quality music. I was impressed.
Yeah, I find it hilarious when they use the choir, the child's choir, on the more grim moments. Like for example, when the zombie boss comes to visit him and he grabs him and he just pulls him out of the window and he's about to be drugged to his supposed death. It's like the music starts like just turning into a darker version of a choir of kids singing, and I feel like this is super out of place. But it's true that it's like
terrified me as a kid.
Yeah, but it's true that it's also a Danny Elfman thing that he likes like these choirs.
Yeah, the ethereal choral.
Yeah. So for the last question, would you turn this into a TV show?
I mean, it feels like a made-for-TV movie. No, I wouldn't turn this into a TV show, not at all.
No, me neither. I mean, I think that this is like the kind of a story that it only works, quote unquote, as a 90 minutes sit-down movie. About, okay, you watch it, you move on with your life. There is only 1 or 2 days in the whole year where this movie makes any kind of sense to be watched. I was
surprised they were able to stretch it out to an hour and 40 minutes. I felt like that was too long. So I don't want to see like an 8-episode series about this.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So should we score it?
Yeah, we should. I haven't even thought about my score. I think I would just give this like a... Oh wait, who scores first?
You, because you said that it was my pick.
I would say 5. This is like a perfectly mediocre film for me. I want to find something better. There's a few good jokes, but like the flaws kind of even it all out to this is just acceptable.
Yeah. For me, the only problem, I'm also a 5. Sorry, I'm also a 5. My only problem with it is that when I think about like some of the flaws, I think that from a ethical perspective, like some of the stuff that they present there are not okay. I mean, it's hard for me to actually just withhold like that judgment, but it was like just inside myself. I said like, that's no, you were not supposed to do that even in the 80s,
Yeah. Yep.
But, it was a different decade. I was only 8 years old, so it's sure. Let's just roll with it. It's Christmas. Let's give it it's a Christmas miracle that you got a 5, be more right.
And just FYI, one of the writers was head writer on SNL for years. So that makes sense 100% to me. This is like a series of SNL skits. I don't know that brings any more understanding to it, but it just so much does.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Because, for example, like, I felt like some of them, they were like really, really self-contained about like, this is going to be fun. Like the Christmas present. The Ghost of the Christmas Present is like all those sequences about like just the punching and the kicking is like this could be a sketch in almost any other movie. It's not about like what is happening in the context of this. Is that you can just separate this and just put it in another movie and it will work. It will work as well as here.
Carole King was a highlight. Her comedic performance it's pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, definitely she was good. Okay, man. So as this is a bonus episode, we don't have to say what it comes next. Also, I would say that on Metacritic, this actually has a 38. So we have been probably one of the few times that we are more generous than the Metacritic score.
Wait. Before we sign off, I want to check Rotten Tomatoes. Well, it is on their list of the 63 best Christmas movies of all time. 71% on the tomato meter with an audience score of 71%.
Wow. Wow. Just saying.
Yeah, I get it. Rotten Tomatoes is shitty. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a 71 movie, and you know that. What is the average for the critic score?
All critics, top critics, it jumps down to 36%. So basically, there's a bunch of bloggers out there that are like, "I like this movie."
I remember watching it when I was 12. Well, 12.
Yep.
When I was 3. So yeah, well, anything else that we have to say about Scrooge?
Merry Christmas.
Exactly. This movie is a Merry Christmas, a Hail Mary and a Merry Christmas to everyone out there. And to those 5-6 people, probably less today, that are going to be listening to this, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, and wash your hands.
Bye.